Hi, this is Jenny Keeler, and I did my small project number 2 on autism and discipline in the classroom. I saw that one of the options was to look at an educational issue that's in the news and try to see if we could address it. When I looked through different news articles to see autism and education or special needs and education, what the issues were, I saw issues of underrepresentation in the media, not enough funding for the schools, but I also saw a disturbing trend of discipline issues in the news. I found numerous examples of students with disabilities being inappropriately disciplined, and some of it bordered on child abuse. What I think it all boiled down to, though, was not enough staff and not enough training. It was heartbreaking. Inappropriate discipline for special education students affected the students greatly. Some were afraid to come to school. Some nonverbal students were documented regressing in their desired learned behaviors, like using iPads for communication, or regressing in their toilet training. And the students just weren't learning. Parents, in addition to dealing with the regression in behaviors at home, were also faced with sometimes months of their student being stuck at home because the school district said there weren't enough staff to accommodate their children. The whole community-wide impact of special education students not getting an education includes potentially having to support that student later on in life as a community, or in some localized areas, higher dropout rates and drug use and mounting poverty. I found that this is affecting minority communities disproportionately. African American students with disabilities were more than 4 times as likely to be inappropriately disciplined as other students. Now, when a teacher is facing a special needs student who's having a meltdown or throwing a tantrum or otherwise needing some kind of discipline, they need both short-term and long-term solutions to this problem. Now, the short-term solutions can include, obviously, find out what is bothering the student and remove that, or adjust it, or add noise-blocking headphones if it's a noise. But with students with disabilities, you need to get the student's gaze, get their attention, and use clear, short commands. Try to say positive and not negative things. One example that I saw used was, instead of "don't throw the ball," say "throw the ball softly," or "touch things softly," or "we will play with that in 3 minutes." Some more short-term solutions: you can hug the student if they like to be squeezed, or talk them through deep breathing exercises if you know that this works with that student. Some students may need to be taken out of the classroom and go to a sensory room to calm down with an aide. And I stress that because there were examples statewide in Kansas and Oklahoma and Iowa of students being sent to rooms without an adult to punish them. They were just isolated and alone. And that is abuse, I think. So some other things that a teacher can do that maybe are more long-term answers to this problem of how to discipline: you can set up your room to avoid trouble. Keep things that they're going to want to grab out of sight, out of mind. You can design lesson plans with that student's needs and triggers in mind. You can use social stories and practice the desired behaviors that you want to have. You can have picture books of routines, and you should have routines. You can use sticker charts or have reward systems. And most importantly, you should always have a relationship with the student. Now, beyond that, though, I think there are some state and national level conversations that we need to be having, specifically about school funding. A lot of these cases, the abuse happened because there weren't enough staff. There weren't enough paraprofessionals and aides. There just weren't enough people. Now, there is a huge staff shortage in Ohio and elsewhere, and they need to do something about the staff shortages if they want to provide the services that we are supposed to provide by law to these students. And the staff that we have needs to be fully trained. In many instances, there are undertrained subs that are supposed to cover the staff shortage, and they don't know what they're doing. That's not going to cut it. They need to be fully trained. And why is there such a shortage? I think it comes around to funding. We need to pay the staff well. In Ohio, the average is $15 an hour for paraprofessionals. That's about $20,000 a year when you factor in how long the school year is. And $20,000 a year to deal with students with really difficult behaviors and to be highly trained. I mean, they could just go work at the gas station or the grocery store and make more than that and not have to deal with difficult things. We need to raise the respect level and the compensation level for paraprofessionals so that we have enough. If we say that we're going to provide services for a student, we need to be able to do that with trained staff every day of the school year. And I was just amazed at how many stories there were of students who had to stay at home because there weren't enough aides. So I think we really need to have this conversation about funding schools and funding special education programs fully.